Find your mouthpiece and put on your jock straps. It's the Sports Blitz with Doug and Robbie.
Okay, how long is your show?
You guys have such a great setup.
Listen, if you're under a rock or if you're in a cave, come on out and listen to our episode.
It was fun talking baseball. I love talking Red Sox. I love talking coaching.
I don't care because I would rather not be an MLB season than have to sit and watch the colossal embarrassment.
Hey, hello, I am Bloom. Yeah, it's Doug and Robbie from the Sports Blitz. I just wanted to find out whether you need some pitching.
There you go. In 5, 4, 3.
I just heard Zoomy, so that means it's time for another episode of the Sports Blitz. I'm Doug. We have Robbie here. Robbie, how you doing tonight?
Dude, great, Doug. May I say you are coming into the new year on fire already.
I am.
But Happy New Year, everybody. I just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year right off the bat. I'm sure people aren't sick and tired at all of being wished a Happy New Year at this point, especially with it being January 6th already. But Happy New Year to you as well, Doug, and very excited to be back doing the Sports Blitz here in the year 2022, and hope everybody's doing well out there and staying healthy. And hey, if you're in that rock or you're in that cave, come on out, give us a listen, give us a watch, and then probably not a bad idea to just go right back in. It's not safe out there right now, so just head back on underneath, and you'll be all good. But just happy to be back, Doug. I think it's what it comes down to. I always love doing those episodes. Missed them over our little break, our holiday break that we had, and just fired up to be back doing the Sports Blitz in 2022. So let's get started. As the Black Eyed Peas said, let's get started.
Thank you for that music reference. So yes, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to everybody that's out there. I
love the reference, but I'm good.
That's all right. Happy New Year to everybody that's out there. So I ask just a off the cuff question that just came to my head. How long do you say Happy New Year into the new year?
Yeah, it's a good question. It really.
Do you keep doing it?
If
January
you see somebody
10th,
for
stop?
if you're seeing somebody for the first time, like in the new year, but it's like March, do you still say Happy New Year?
Yeah,
is there a cutoff
if you
here?
haven't seen them in a little while,
it's a good question.
Where's the cutoff on sports radio where they say, "Oh, Happy New Year, guys"? I mean,
it's a
okay,
good
you
question.
called 4 times already, and you're still saying Happy New Year. Okay, you know that it's like a week into the new year, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we're all back working. So I don't know. Just a good question.
No, it's a great question. It's one that I've heard definitely discussed on many different platforms over this past week, and I haven't really heard a good answer to it. I would say probably like maybe a week tops is like when you can get away with it. But after that, it's
there is
like
no determined time though. That's
I know. Hey, listen. For all, you could say.
Our next episode, I'm going to say Happy New Year.
Hell, if I see somebody for the first time this year in like May, I could say, what's stopping me from saying Happy New Year to them then? Like
Nothing.
It's a good point, but
absolutely nothing. So anyway, we're just going to jump right in because I'm very excited about this.
But Doug, before we jump in, though, because it is a new year.
Yeah,
it may be a new year, but we also. It may be a new year, but we still have our same old sponsor, Doug. So we gotta give them a shout out. So why don't you go? Why don't you go with that?
Absolutely. And I was staring right at it too. Craziness, huh? Welcome to the new year. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so our sponsor and continued sponsor is Zyman Organizing, which is great. For the Sports Blitz this week, I know if you just have a chance to watch our videos, you see in the background of Robbie's room, you see that it's actually kind of a mess. But besides that, it may be a little bit disorganized, and Robbie does fixes and tries to organize his sock drawer, but sometimes you just can't do it. So if he can't do it, what he does is he calls Zyman Organizing to come in and fix his sock drawer at least once a week. So it's really, really
I
super
got him on the
important.
phone now.
Yeah, so he's calling right now because he's just about to do that on Saturday, and he's going to try to get him in to be able to help him out. So if you have a room or a closet or a cabinet that you need organizing, please call Simon Organizing or contact them, actually, not call them. You can contact them. The best way to do it is through our
Link in the description.
link in the description.
Link in the
Yep.
description.
Yep, absolute best way to do it. And they will organize your space and make it a serene place to kind of hang out. I know Robbie typically doesn't hang out in the sock drawer, but you never know. He likes to bring people up to look at it, so he puts it, opens it up and keeps it open, and they go, "Oh, wow, they're really organized. See, it's perfect." So it really brings a lot of joy to Robbie. So just remember, Simon Organizing, creating a stress-free home, and for Robbie, it's more of a stress-free sock drawer. So that's what we have.
Yep.
So
truth. No, nothing but truth right there, Doug.
That's
I'm
correct.
with it. Yep.
That's correct. So we're going to jump right in, and we are going to kind of talk about this. This episode is my salute to crazy play-by-play guys. This is my real salute to John Madden. John Madden, unfortunately, just passed away just recently.
Yeah. R.I.P.
And yeah, absolutely. We Sports Blitz. We send condolences to his family. John Madden started out coaching in college. By the way, there is a great documentary on YouTube about John Madden. So if you're always interested in, if you ever, if you heard him growing up or whatever, check out the documentary. It's phenomenal. It's really great. So start out, doing some minor college gigs, worked his way up as a coordinator, and then finally got the job, got the head coaching job. And his first head coaching job, I believe, was the Raiders. Now, when I was watching football with my dad a long time ago, Patriots versus Raiders, and that was that old Jack.
Were they in
Tatum.
L.A. at that point, or had they moved to Oakland? Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was Oakland. It was Oakland at the time.
It was Oakland. Okay.
It was Oakland.
All right.
It was Oakland at the time.
Got it.
And my father, we couldn't stand the guy. We couldn't stand him because he always had our number. He always beat the Patriots, always. And then there was the old in the 70s where Jack Tatum had a very, very a bad hit on Darryl Stingley, and Darryl Stingley ended up. Darryl Stingley was one of our wide receivers in the 70s. Ended up being paralyzed, and my dad hated him even more. And it wasn't him that actually did the and it was just somebody on his team. And Jack Tatum said, hey, it's football.
Right.
I mean, I think later in life he had explained that it was, that he was real sorry about it and blah blah blah. Still, he's one of our best wide receivers, and to see somebody go down and to actually hit right here on Darryl Stingley's neck was just. I mean, if you want, you could YouTube it. It's not pleasant to see, so if you're squeamish, don't watch it. But anyway,
can you imagine that kind of happened like today? That would be like suspension and fine. I feel like in this day and age.
Yeah, and that's why again, football in the 70s was very different than football now.
Oh
it's
yeah,
just totally different.
That's what I mean.
The rules are different. Yeah. The rules are
a lot more
quarterbacks.
These days, it's a lot more offensive geared in terms of rules and protections that are afforded.
Protection to the quarterback and protection for other guys, for wide receivers and that kind of thing. So it makes sense, I guess. It has morphed into that, but back then it wasn't. But anyway, we couldn't stand John Madden as anything. As anything, including his coaching, what he did on the field, we just couldn't stand him. Then John Madden decided to get into broadcasting. Once he got into broadcasting, it was a totally different story. It was the old school broadcasting. It was a broadcasting back then. It was a lot of play-by-play. So it was a lot. It was a lot different back then too, because you could use colorful language, not swearing, but colorful language. You could use, different things. John Madden had this thing about using the telestrator all the time. And it was for the game. He would show you different plays, but it wasn't just plays. Like if a pigeon landed on the ground, it was a play between, I believe it was the Broncos versus the Vikings. And there was a play, and it was to a wide receiver and a defender. And all of a sudden, you see them going up for the ball. The ball's passed, and you see them going up for the ball. And all of a sudden, these two pigeons land on the field, like right next to them. And they tried to like avoid them, like go around them and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, John Madden does this 20-minute tirade on the fact that there are pigeons. And Pat Summerall was with him. Pat Summerall's another play-by-play guy, and also both played in the National Football League, by the way. And Pat Summerall says, "Well, there's pigeons on the field." And John Madden says, "Oh, well, he couldn't find a seat, in the good seat, so they decided to land on the field, and they can watch the game that way." And all of a sudden, you see him circle the pigeons on the telestrator. And again, and anybody doesn't know what a telestrator is, it's a almost like a pen, and you do it now with an Apple or any kind of tablet. Typically, you have some kind of pen that goes with it, and you could write on the screen. And that's what he was doing. And as he was writing, you could actually see it. One of the funniest ones was, I was just talking to Robbie off, before we started the episode in pregame, and I was telling him that one of the funniest ones was he sees the table of Gatorade. Now, back then, they didn't have the bottles. Back then, they had cups on a table that you go up to the table and you just pick a cup and you get it from this big, huge jug that said Gatorade on. So he noticed on the table that there were 2 Gatorade jugs. And then the next week, he noticed that there were 3. So he circled the 2. He's like, okay, this is the mama Gatorade. This is the daddy Gatorade. He put a D on it and then an M. And then he did an arrow to the 3rd Gatorade jug and called it the baby one. So he put a B right on the telestrator. This is the baby. See, they put the mommy and daddy together and they had the baby Gatorade. I'm like, what is he talking about? This is crazy. This was what I would call his shtick, his stuff. So those are just a couple of examples right there of some and there's tons of them, because he spent 35, 40 years on TV doing this. So John Madden, just a few examples of just the kind of craziness that John Madden kind of does. And again, a lot of it has nothing to do with the play-by-play. He, of course, did the telestrator and the play-by-play for the actual game itself. But there was some extra things that went on. I know, Robbie, you've listened to John Madden before. John Madden, of course, has been around for a long time. What are your thoughts on how he did things and kind of just what your memories are more of kind of what he meant to the game of football when it came to play-by-play?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, so my whole thing was like, when it came to John Madden, I definitely sort of got into watching football sort of towards the tail end of his career in the booth. And so I don't maybe necessarily have as many memories, so to speak, of him in that capacity. But the one that really stands out, and Doug, I know I was talking to you about this beforehand, was the 0-2 Super Bowl, Brady's first Super Bowl against the Rams. Madden and Summerall were on the call of that game. And just what I remember distinctly was at the very end of the 4th quarter, Brady gets the ball back, Pats get the ball back, tie game. And Madden basically just says, they should just really, run the clock out here and go to overtime and not take any chances. Well, what does Brady and the Pats offense do? The complete opposite. They just tear down the field, and it ends in Adam Vinatieri obviously kicking the field goal that is now etched into the mind of Boston sports fans for all eternity. So, yeah, I mean that's sort of the big thing for me when it came to Madden as an announcer. That's sort of the big memory for me. Obviously, for me, my bigger association with Madden was because of the video game. Plain and simple. I mean, I
Me
grew
too.
up. My teenage years were spent playing Madden either at home or with my friends, wherever. It was
I would like
it
to
was
admit
the
something right
game.
here, Robbie. I'd like to
Okay,
admit something right
okay.
here.
All right.
I was able to have the first Madden game. I believe I had Sega Genesis. I think it came out on Sega. I think for the
Okay.
first time. Anyway, I got it on the first time I started doing Sega, playing video games. I got it. I will
Right.
admit on our show right now on the Sports Blitz, I will admit that every single year, including the one we just had, I get Madden every single year because
Yeah.
it's one of the best sports games that's out there.
Absolutely. No,
So,
absolutely. That's what
I
I'm
just
saying.
do.
It's like that was my childhood, that was my sort of teenage video game years right there. Was playing. I mean, I was a big sports game guy just in general.
Oh yeah,
But I
me
mean
too.
Madden was like one of the games. Like every year I got the new version of Madden, and my friends and I would always play it. I would just play it by myself, and I would, do just the regular games. I would do some franchise mode stuff. I like make my own players. I mean, I did it all. And I just loved how the game like evolved over the years. It got like, more and more like in depth in terms of, the realness of the graphics and stuff like that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it was just
Oh yeah.
it was a classic NFL video game. And I mean, it just, like I said, that was what Madden was synonymous with for me, sort of for my generation, was the video game. And I just loved it. I mean, I still have, some of the older Madden games. I don't play video games really as much anymore as I used to, but I still have some of the Madden games downstairs. And occasionally I'll fire one up and give it a go. But if I'm feeling nostalgic, but yeah, no. So that the game plus that sort of one distinct year, because it was the Pats' first Super Bowl in the dynasty, and so it kind of is kind of a was a segue into greatness on many different levels with that game and that call. But I think those are sort of the two big things that I associate Madden with from sort of my time knowing of John Madden and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've just noticed that there's a real change. A while back, you had the John Maddens, you had the Pat Summeralls. Pat not being more of the straight man in
Yeah.
this kind of, they were not only very good together with play-by-play, they were also best friends, and that was a huge help in that. And I remember when Pat Summerall also passed away, John Madden actually spoke, and he actually, you never see this big, huge, guy, shed any tears ever. I mean, he actually did that day just because he lost his best friend. But when they got together, they played off each other, which is great because you have John Madden being, the funny guy. Look at this. Look at this dog. Look at this dog. And another one was he was looking at the golden retriever that was just laying down the field. It was a security dog or something like that. He's like, look, see this kid, this dog, and he circles the dog. He's like, yeah, this dog is not having fun. He had fun before. He's not having fun now. But they used to have a dog, and I can't remember what team did it, but they used to have a dog go out and grab the tee after a kickoff, grab the tee and bring the tee back to the sideline.
Yeah.
John Madden did this whole thing on, oh, look, see what happens. The dog goes to the tee. He was doing the play-by-play for the dog going out and grabbing the tee and bringing it back to the sideline. And it's hugely funny. You have to see it on YouTube. If you have a chance to see it on YouTube, you got to see it.
Yeah.
So the dog goes out, but he misses the tee. He tries to grab it, but he misses. So John says, "Oh, look, he misses the tee, but see, he comes right back around." And he's like circling and putting arrows down and putting lines on the illustrator. He's like, then he comes back around, he grabs the tee, and he runs back. Unbelievable. What a play. What a play. And he just takes these, he talks about a guy who is, I'm laughing because it's funny. It's very, very funny the way he presents it. It was a guy that was eating, he was eating like 5 different things at the same time. And then John was like, "He's eating nachos here." And he would circle the nachos. He's eating this hot dog next. And he circled the hot dog. He's like, "See?" Oh, and he's got the big gulp. You got to get the big gulp. You got to get the big drink. If you don't get the big drink, you're not going to be able to survive the whole game. You got to get the big drink. He just, it was a different, it was, I'm going to tell you right up front. That's what I think it is. It wasn't just play-by-play. It was entertainment.
Yeah, yeah.
He was entertaining the people that were watching.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a dying breed right now. There are some other guys that did it. A couple of guys that are still doing it, but it's like a dying breed. It's not out there as much as, going on the telestrator and circling food or circling a dog or Gatorade bottle or whatever. It's not as extensive as that.
It's kind of like it's kind of like I would almost compare in terms of, you talk about sort of like a dying breed. I know we just lost this particular other.
I was just going to mention him.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention him.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Tommy Heinsohn. I mean, it's kind of like
Tommy Heinsohn.
It's kind of like very similar to the way Tommy Heinsohn analyzed and handled the color responsibilities during Celtics games. And I know, obviously Tommy is more of a local broadcast as opposed to Madden, who is a national broadcast. Although Tommy Heinsohn did do national broadcasts as well, on
occasionally,
several different occasions.
Not when he got older.
No. But I mean, just like I'm just talking about it in general.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
But yeah, it's kind of like you sort of talk about, sort of that breed of color guys sort of adding the entertainment to, and I completely agree with you. I think it is something that we don't see nearly as much these days in terms of the analysts that are out there right now. But yeah, I mean, like between Madden and Heinsohn and all these guys, like even maybe to a certain extent like a Jerry Remy. Again, if you want to look sort of the baseball side of things.
Absolutely have him on my list because he was absolutely on the baseball side of let's entertain you.
Yeah.
This could be a little bit of a boring game. I'm sorry, but it can be a little boring at times. And if it's boring, I need to embellish a little bit and make it more. In those boring
games is when the announcers can really like make their money by providing that entertainment aspect.
Correct. Jerry Remy was
to the boring. I mean, I harken back. I don't mean to go too far off topic here, but it's like I just continue to harken back to that broadcast duo of Orsillo and Remy, who again still to this day in my mind is the greatest, like at least in my generation, the greatest Red Sox broadcast tandem of at least my generation. But they just had this way, like the game could be 20-0 and you still watch because you just wanted to hear them just go back and forth. It was like some of the things I know we talked about before, on the episode we did about Jerry Remy, right. Just some of the back and forth barbs between the two of them, kind of like, Madden and Summerall or Heinsohn and Gorman, things like that. It makes those broadcasts what they are, and it makes them worth watching, even like you said, in the least entertaining of games.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things it started with, and I think people recognize this, and again, another local broadcaster who broadcast the Celtics games was Johnny Most.
Yeah.
Started with Johnny Most. Johnny Most being
Steal by Bird.
Yeah, and again, some incredible historical calls.
Yes.
But not only did he do historical calls, but he would also talk about the other teams who he couldn't stand.
I was about to say he was not afraid. I've heard some of his calls. I guess the Pistons, like back in the
Talked about Isaiah Thomas. He hated Isaiah Thomas. He hated the Pistons.
He was not afraid to let his
I know why they call him the bad boys.
Yeah, he was not afraid to let his true feelings be known for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Tommy Heinsohn did too.
Oh, yeah.
Because these guys were not going to pull any punches. And Heinsohn was all over the refs all the time.
He walked. What's
all
wrong
the time.
With these guys?
All the time. And they actually, from what I heard, they actually told him, the refs started to complain to the Celtics that they were hearing him. And they didn't want, they actually complained, and they said, can you talk to him and tell him to, quell it a little bit? And they talked to Heinsohn, and Heinsohn said, guess what? Part of my freaking broadcast. So if they hear it, they hear it. I don't care. If you want to fire me, go ahead. They didn't want to fire him. Of course not. I mean, he was part of the personality of the Celtics. Okay?
Yeah.
So was Johnny Most.
He is
Johnny
Celtics
Most,
basketball. Yeah. I mean,
Johnny Most was also the same thing.
Yeah.
And when Johnny said, I can't stand Isaiah Thomas. He's such a jerk. I can't believe he fouled him. He fouled him. He can't believe it. Tommy Heinsohn was the same thing.
Yeah.
He would actually, there was one point right before they actually spoke to him, the Celtics spoke to him, that he was actually talking to the refs as he was on the air. Are you guys crazy? Why are you calling this call? This is great. And then, of course, Mike Gorvitz, slowly crawling into his seat, going, I can't believe he's doing this. But he got used to it after a while. They did the broadcast for a very long time. 30 years, I think, 35 years.
Oh, yeah.
So
Gorman
it was a long time.
Yeah.
It was a long time. And now Scal's taking over, and Scal's kind of doing the same. He's got his own shtick.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own little shtick. Jerry Remy had his own shtick that he did with Don Orsillo. So it's really phenomenal that the kinds of things that these guys put together. Another guy that I was thinking about just recently, who every time I watch the broadcast, it's like, I can't believe he just said that. Did he just say that? What? What did he just say? It's Jack Edwards.
Yep, I was just thinking him too.
Okay, so Jack Edwards is like, he calls the puck something totally different. It's the new call. I'm not sure what he calls it. Talking about certain plays as they're happening, where these words and phrases just come to his head. But it's incredibly entertaining. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
it's great. It's great. It's just really, really, it's phenomenal. Just phenomenal in the entertainment factor. But again, I just think, where do you think it went from?
Can I just before you just can I just throw in one more, because before I lose the thought, like a Scott Zolak type for the Patriots. I know you've said before that you actually will mute the TV broadcast and turn on.
I can't stand the national broadcast.
Sochi and Zolak, but again, I mean, and I know back in the day it was Gil and Gino. Gil Santos and Gino Capoletti. Zolak, kind of like another one of these guys that he has his own flair to him. And if you're an opposing fan, he'll drive you crazy. But if you're a Patriots fan, you love it because that's just how he is. You know what? He loves the team, and he's going to give you great analysis, but he's also going to be, he's also going to provide that entertainment, provide that sort of homer, if you want to call it that, point of view to it. So I love listening to Zoe as well when I get a chance. I mean, he's just.
But I also like Zoe for his honesty.
Yeah,
he's super honest, and he's going to tell you. He's going to be honest. That's what I love about him, is he's going to tell you if Patriots just had a horrible quarter.
Yeah,
that was a horrible pass. That was a terrible penalty.
Absolutely.
Why did they do that? Why did they? Love his honesty, and I'll tell you, as a homer, as a person who's from here, not me, as Zolak lives here, as Zolak played for the Patriots when he played. It was tough because you had Drew Bledsoe and you had Tom Brady. He didn't play a whole lot, but that's okay. That's all right. But what it came down to is that he's brutally honest, and I love that. I don't like when you have a commentary, a play-by-play guy, and he goes, "Oh well, that's okay. They didn't," and he just kind of skirts over the fact that, wow, this was terrible. They played horribly tonight.
No,
and you know what?
Not Zoe.
They did. Zoe doesn't beat around the bush. Zoe doesn't play to anybody. Zoe goes out there and he does the broadcast, and I love the fact that he's honest. He will say that was a terrible pass. They shouldn't have passed that ball right there. There's no way. There was a guy that was open on the other side. I don't know why was he running? He'll ask himself a question. He'll be like, why did he run? Why did he do that?
Yeah.
Why did they run on third down when they need 8 yards?
Yeah.
Why did they do this? It doesn't make any sense. This is what I would do. What I like it when he puts his own 2 cents in because he knows the game. That's what I like. I like informative guys. Listen.
Oh, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you don't have to play the game. You just have to know the game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The best guys out there that I have found have played the game, and that's fine. Jerry Remy, perfect example. But on the flip side, I don't know if Jack Edwards played, but he knows the players. He knows the game really well. He knows the rules. He knows he's been doing it so long that it's not a problem for him to interject. But he's also got a guy next to him.
I was about to say, he's got Brick, who is like
Mr.
Bruins hockey. Yeah.
So he can do the commentary, but then you got Brick who says, well, now I know exactly why they did that because this happened and this happened and this is the hockey end of things because Brick played. So again,
Jack and Brick, another great one.
Jack and Brick, fabulous, just tremendous. And you know what? I love Brick, same as Zolak. Brick will say they had a horrible career.
Yeah, Brick will tell it like it
terrible.
Is for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just love that. I had a chance to meet
that's right.
Brick.
Bruins alumni game, right?
Bruins alumni games. We would bring my mother-in-law to the Bruins alumni games. And it just so happens we were going, I think it was in November, December we went, and the players were on strike that particular year. They were not working. And it turns out that Brick was at one of the games, and we just talked to him. At these alumni games, you have to go up and talk to the players, which is great. So we talked to him, and I said, so what do you think? What's going on with this strike thing? He said, it'll be done by January. You watch. He had a beard too. I've never seen Brick with a beard. That was weird because he's always very clean shaven when he's on TV. So Brick with a beard was like really. I was like taking it back. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
But it was just great to be able to kind of talk to him. Bob Beers was there too. Yeah. Beersy was there too. So
Bob Beers, another great, local analyst. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, these are the kinds of guys that just they played the game. They want to talk about the game. When they talk about it, they sound really good, and you always want to hear what Brick has to say.
Yeah.
You always want to hear what Jerry Remy had to say. You always wanted to hear because he played. He was a player. He knows what's going on out there better than anybody else. Lou Merlone was doing some of the. How
about we were talking about Remy earlier? How about Dennis Eckersley?
Yeah,
Dennis Eckersley. Lou Merlone.
Merlone also played.
With Joe Castiglione. Red Sox broadcasting. You want to talk about Red Sox broadcasting legend? Joe Castiglione. I mean, it's just is right up there. I mean, it's
talk about knowledge. I mean, he would throw knowledge out there that was like, what, he just talked about the 1956 Red Sox? What?
Yeah.
Where did he get that from? Is that in his brain, or did he write it out? I mean, where is it coming from? His knowledge of the game was just, oh yeah. And I remember when they when they did the first dribble play, it was in it was during that game in 1956. I'm like, what? Where is he coming up with this knowledge? I mean, is it being fed in his ear? I don't think so. From what I heard, and again, I hear lots of things. From what I heard, that knowledge is in his brain.
Right.
He just has all this sports knowledge, especially baseball knowledge, in his brain. So he may write some stuff down, but typically he wasn't. This was off the cuff stuff. Yeah. But again, Joe Constig, perfect example. His son, by the way, is doing sports on
Duke Castiglione, Channel 5.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, Channel 5. So
I mean, I don't
watch him that often, but it's pretty cool that his son.
But you think like back in the you had like Joe Castiglione, Jerry Trupiano. It's just kind of like the all-time Red Sox radio broadcast team. I mean, it's just like yeah.
Yeah, that was in your era. But when I was in the 70s,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, no. I grew up with them too, and I loved them. Before that, there was another team that was there. I'm sorry, I don't have them on recollection right now. I'd have to look them up, and I don't really want to do that right this very second. But they were a good team too. So when they team up guys, I think it's important. But what I was going to ask you before is kind of what's different about today than it was a while back, and where are these guys going? Are we gonna get into a section of people, Scal's doing a lot of the broadcasts now, a lot of the games now, and he's got his own flair. We're just starting to get used to him. Working with Mike Gorman, who's still out there doing stuff. But again, it just seems like they're kind of moving away from that entertainment and moving right toward, just the play-by-play.
It's a lot more.
I'm not sure if I can deal with that.
Right. It's a lot more. I mean, the best word that I can use to describe it is like, it's a lot more corporate. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot more just, sort of basic, to the point, play-by-play. And you're right. I mean, I can't say that at times to you, because basically you're just like, I mean, obviously you like to know what's going on, but you also, you like to hear those sort of like riffs during the broadcast, those sort of like back and forths and things like that. It adds, sort of the entertainment value, like we were talking about before, to the broadcast. I mean, I could watch my screen and see what is going on during the game. The reason why I'm listening to the announcers, I kind of want to hear, the insight and the
banter
analysis and the banter, but I also want to hear the excitement. I want to hear the comedy, sort of the comedic relief, so to speak, in sort of more tense moments, or during a blowout, or whatever the case may be. And I don't think you get that as much than you did get with some of the guys that we've talked about that are no longer broadcasting. I mean, Zoe is definitely someone who continues to bring that type of sort of entertainment / colorful analysis to the broadcast, for sure. I mean, Mike Gorman and Brian Scalabrine, definitely they have their moments. Well, Jack and Brick have their moments. So I think locally, we are lucky enough to have a lot of broadcasters, a lot of broadcast teams that definitely do still provide that entertainment style that we like to see out of a broadcast. But nationally, and I think, I mean, listen, some of these former players that they get are great. And I think the fact that, they bring on former players who know the ins and outs of the game is great for an analysis point of view. The problem is some of these guys, focus way too much on the X's and O's analysis and not as much on the color, so to speak, in color commentator. It's
also different, Robbie, radio versus TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Radio, you got to tell a lot more.
Well, absolutely.
Detail, because you're not seeing a picture.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't. They got to paint the picture for sure.
Correct.
No, absolutely.
Correct.
I look at some of these these guys that you see on the big games, these days, for the national games, and you look at these broadcast duos, and personally, I cannot stand Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I'm very tempted to put them on mute whenever the Pats are playing on Fox.
I have them down too here on my sheet as somebody who I turn off.
Yeah. I mean, like
I'm sorry, but Joe Buck's the most boring.
Joe Buck
boring
literally
person that I've
it's
ever
like Game
heard.
7 of the World Series, game-winning home run. It just sounds coming out of his mouth like it's just the most boringest, mundane event taking place. Like it's like, are you kidding me, Joe? Come on. I look at like I can go either way on Nance and Romo. I used to enjoy like how Romo would like call the plays before they happened. I just thought that there was something very entertaining about that. I think Romo is kind of wearing off on me because I think sometimes he is too much anti, like if he really doesn't like a team, he lets it project too much during the broadcast and it just makes him sound bitter at times. I mean, Nance is a great announcer, and I mean, don't get me wrong, but that Romo Nance sort of combo is kind of like worn on me a little bit. I would say.
I don't like Romo. I didn't like Romo as a player, and I certainly don't like him as a commentator. I don't think he knows as much about the game as everybody thinks he does. I know he played the game, but I don't want to hear him. I don't want to hear him talk about it.
It's funny you think about what he did in his NFL career, more realistically, what he didn't do in his NFL career. So I mean, it's like,
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
It's
I mean,
like,
what makes him an expert?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I can see Joe. I can see Aikman. I could see that because he's done.
Well,
for Dallas, he did that, but still, I don't.
Well, people would argue with us. Well, about Zolak, but it's a local broadcast. He played for the team. It's a local broadcast. This is a national broadcast. It's two sort of different entities.
Absolutely, totally different.
Yeah.
You have to be in a national broadcast. You have to be like this.
Yeah.
You can't root for a team.
Right.
I don't care if you're from New York. I don't care if you're from Dallas. I don't care if you played for Dallas. I don't care if you played for San Francisco. It doesn't matter. You have to be level.
Yeah.
You have to talk and speak.
Completely unbiased.
Completely unbiased. One of the reasons why I turn off the national broadcast is I don't think they're biased against us. I was about to say, does it
always, especially with the Patriots, does it always seem like the broadcast teams are always anti-Patriots?
Always. The only guy, there's a couple of guys that I do like. I do like Nance when he does the Patriots broadcast because I think Nance is not awesome and terrific, but he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like him because he's level. And he seems unbiased.
Right.
The other guy I like is the guy who played quarterback for the Bengals.
Oh, Esiason.
Boomer
Esiason.
Yeah. Love Boomer Esiason. Again, same way. National broadcast. He's still the same way. By the way, loves the Patriots. That's a little. I know. It's a little crazy that way, but still, love Boomer because Boomer. They used to have Boomer on the local radio here.
Right. Yeah.
But he loves Boston. He loves the sports here. He knows all about the sports here. So and he doesn't follow it a lot, but still, I love listening to him because he's very knowledgeable about football. Yeah. And that's what I like is that he gives his take. And he'll tell you whether they're doing a great job or not doing a great job. He's from New York, so he does like, the two New York teams or whatever, but still when he does a game, he seems to be unbiased. The other is Greg Gumbel.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the other one that has ties to Boston. So when he does a game, actually the last couple of years, he's been horrible. And I don't really know why, but he's been just really lackluster. He's just like, hello, is the guy awake? Is he awake on the broadcast? Greg, are you okay? His daughter went to the first school I went to. His daughter, I was a sophomore, junior, when I went to college first time. at Roger Williams, his daughter actually went there, and we actually saw him in the dorm. Really cool. So
Nice.
said hello. He was super, super nice guy.
Yeah.
Really, really super nice guy. But basically, other than that, I don't know what's happening to him, but he just seems to have this buzz around his head or something. It's just not that great. But again, the national broadcast, I turn it off.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport it is, and I turn on the radio, turn on the local broadcast because I'd rather hear the local guys. And it makes sense. I'm sure the local guys are all around, so it makes sense.
I will say that just like a lot of times watching the Pats on the national broadcast, it just gets boring. I mean, it's the best way to put it. It gets boring listening
It does.
to it. And since I could see the game, like there's really no need for me to have the audio on 90%
right.
of the time.
You got to give me something else. Entertain me.
Yeah.
This is again, Robbie, and we could start, thinking about wrapping up a little bit, but what I fear in the future, is that John Madden's going to go away.
Yeah.
And as people start dropping off,
it's going to become more corporate. It's going to become more corporate.
I don't think the games are going to be more as exciting to watch unless you're watching a local broadcast. But other than that, I just don't, or you're at the game, which is obviously totally different. But, and something else that's wrong with putting it on radio, my dad never wanted to do it because it's a delay. There's a 10-second delay from radio to TV. So 7 to 10 seconds, I can tell you that there's a score and you won't hear it on the TV broadcast until it's on the TV broadcast.
Right.
Radio goes first and then it's the TV.
Right.
Radio's only 3 or 4 seconds, but the TV is 7 to 10 seconds. So the delay, my father just couldn't deal with the delay, which makes sense. He's just like, I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
No, but I could deal with it because I got used to it because I want to hear these local guys. I don't want to hear the other guys. My fear is that we're moving away from this.
Yeah.
That's my fear.
I'm with you.
That
I
in
agree.
the future, we're not going to hear guys like John Madden, like
Tommy Heinsohn,
Jack Edwards, Tommy Heinsohn.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. We're moving away, Remdog. We're moving away from that, and I hope we don't. I hope we
do
that
too.
People
I
understand
hope we don't
that play-by-play needs to be. Don't just tell me what's going on. I can see that. Tell me something different. Throw something really cool out there.
Yeah.
Throw something, that's.
Throw me that
John Madden used
curveball.
to talk about hot dogs and dogs and all kinds of Gatorade and blimps. For some reason, he had this thing about blimps. I don't know why. Oh, you saw the first indoor blimp, right? So he's talking about the indoor blimp, and he notices that the indoor blimp isn't moving. He's like, well, why is it moving? And he's like, oh, well, it's tethered. This blimp that's an indoor blimp, it's smaller, and it's tethered. See, the guys are down there, and he circles where the guys go, and they go underneath the blimp. And then he said, well, it's tethered. If you look real carefully, and he pulls the demonstrator in really close, and all of a sudden he's circling the wires, the ropes that are tethered. That are tethering the blimp. He goes, see, it's tethered here, it's tethered here, it's tethered here, it's tethered here. And it's just, it brings you to what is he saying? What is he talking about? But it's funny, it's entertaining.
Yes.
And I just hope that it doesn't end up working in the opposite direction. Because I want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And if I have to, I'll go into play-by-play myself, and you and I will go into it, and we'll talk about all kinds of things. But that's the thing. I just hope that it's not moving away from the entertainment factor, because I don't think that's where TV is going. TV and movies are very entertaining. Yeah. So, and they're even more entertaining than they were a long time ago. So I'm hoping that guys understand that we want to hear this stuff. We want to hear why the ball is rolling down the court, and we don't know why. So we want to know why the squirrel. How many times does Remdog talk about a squirrel or a cat or something like that? That's like in the park and shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It follows it. The camera's following it. So it's one of those things where I'm hoping that it's not a dying breed. I hope we're not seeing the last. these guys are starting to unfortunately pass away or retire. And I'm hoping that it doesn't turn out to be that this is moving in that direction.
Yeah.
That's my whole point to the whole thing.
I mean, I'm with you 100%. I think you hit the nail right on the head. So there's really not a whole lot that I can add that you haven't already said. I'm with you. I'm with you. I really hope it doesn't go that way too. And yeah. I don't, like I said, you pretty much said everything needs to be said on that. So I'm basically, 100% in agreement with you. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this episode was just to kind of bring up, really, it's my salute to John Madden. I will just put it out there. YouTube, John Madden. Anybody that hasn't grown up watching him or hearing him or listening to him, I still don't like him as a coach, but I could care less. After he became a broadcaster and he started doing this stuff, my father-in-law, I turned everything around and we loved watching him because he was very entertaining. We want to be entertained when we watch these games. And he was very entertaining, and he will be very much missed in all kinds of different broadcasts, national broadcasts of the NFL. And this episode was more of my salute to him and others that have entertained us throughout the years, and I think it's super important. But we're at the end of our episode where we do our final thoughts for the evening. So, Robbie, I'm going to throw it to you, obviously, because there's nobody else to throw it to. So I'm going to throw it to you for your final thoughts for this episode of the Sports Blitz. What's your final thought for this evening?
Yeah, so my final thought is going to be a bit of a somber salute as well. I think you're going to quickly know where I'm going with this. Is that unfortunately, Red Sox Nation suffered a loss within the past few days with the passing former Red Sox pitcher Jim Corsi. Passed away after a battle of cancer at 60 years old. And obviously very sad. And before I sort of get into it, I have a little story here that I told Doug.
Got to tell the story.
There. Yeah, no, I definitely am.
It's a great
to. Definitely am going to.
Sorry, guys, you got to get the story.
Sorry, you cut out there for a second, so I was afraid we were going to have another technical glitch. But we're back. We're good now. But yeah, exactly. Passed away at 60 years old. And obviously, before I get into my story, we here at the Sports Blitz definitely send our most heartfelt condolences to the Corsi family and everybody that worked with Jim and knew Jim. Rest in peace for sure. My story with Jim Corsi is back when I was a young elementary school age Red Sox fan. I actually met Jim Corsi one time, and it was quite a random meeting, if you want to call it that, because long story short, my mom and I were at a rug store of all places in Natick, Massachusetts, and we go in, and there's this gentleman, sort of in normal attire, just sort of shopping around, and of course me, being the observant Red Sox fan that I am, immediately recognized him as Jim Corsi. And I'm kind of like, being my age and myself, I was a bit shy. And so I'm kind of like sort of ducking my head and acting, kind of a little bit, shy and awkward, whatever you want to call him. My mom kind of picked up on it and was like asking me what was going on. I was like, that's Jim Corsi. That's Jim Corsi. She's like, no, it's not. It's just a rug installer. You're seeing things or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's Jim Corsi. So finally, my mom, and she and I tell this story any chance we get. My mom actually went up to the guy when I was off somewhere else in the store, and she very politely asked him, it's like, listen, my son thinks that you're Jim Corsi. Are you? And he's like, yep, I am Jim Corsi, which of course, again, I knew it.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I knew it was him. And she, she's like, well, hey, listen, my son's a big Red Sox fan. Could you sign something for him? And, she's like fumbling around trying to find like any sort of pad of paper for him to sign. And he was just so kind and generous, because he literally was like, just wait here. I got something better. He goes, first of all, she comes and gets me because, again, I'm like partially in hiding, because I'm just like having a sort of shy freaking out moment over potentially meeting a professional athlete. And, so she brings me to the front of the store, and he literally goes into his truck and gets a baseball from in his truck, and he brings it back in and signed it for me. And I was on cloud nine. I mean, I was like, once he actually came in, like, I got introduced to him, like I was gone. I was like just so excited, and I remember it to this day, just the excitement of that moment, like getting to me in person, just completely by chance, a Red Sox player, because baseball has always been, as Doug knows, my lifelong passion, and the Red Sox have been my lifelong favorite team. And so but just what I remember, I sorry, didn't mean to get too long-winded there, but what I remember just most about Jim was just how kind and courteous he was. I mean, he could have easily, sort of signed quickly on a piece of paper and that bit, but the fact that he took the time to like go to his truck and get me a baseball to sign, and like actually took the time to like talk to me and like, have a conversation. He was just such a nice guy. And I obviously, like I said, my heart goes out to his family and those who knew him and worked with him and stuff like that. And I just will always cherish that meeting and that baseball. And it's really sad that unfortunately a disease so just nasty as cancer took him from this earth at such a young age 60. And I just wanted to, first of all, tell that story, and second of all, I just wanted to sort of say my salute to Jim Corsi, and may he rest in peace, Doug.
Absolutely, and my sentiments exactly. When you watch these guys, especially when you're young, they're larger than life, and they're so strong and so healthy looking. They're just incredible people and incredible athletes. So you look up to them, especially if it's your favorite sport. You look up to them, especially when you meet them.
It's like a celebrity. It's like any celebrity. I mean,
absolutely.
And yes, was he like the ace pitcher on the team? No, but I mean, in my mind, he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, he was like, right. Again, it just had that that professional athlete aura. Especially when you're 9 years old or however old I was when I got to meet him.
Absolutely. I totally agree with it, and I just think that it's we of course send our condolences to his family, and what's really good is that we can watch him and go to YouTube and watch him again,
or just go down to my basement and look at the baseball.
That's
just,
right. Exactly.
Memory.
Once you have those things, it's like it's perfect, because then you remember the good times and stuff like that. So
that's my final thought, Doug. So let me sort of officially kick it back over to you for what is your final thought or final thoughts, as I know you usually have, for tonight's episode.
I have just a couple. The first one is a little bit of a sad one, and then the other one will be nice and quick and everything like that. We had a legend pass away right before New Year's, and I think you might know because you actually sent me a text. You put two dams in the text for this particular person, which I thought was kind of interesting. It makes sense, because anybody that hasn't heard of this person is probably under a rock or in a cave, and has been for the last 7 decades. So I will tell you that.
True. It's very.
Yeah.
It's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard of this person, then you are definitely not paying attention to the world or life, or have not
you
turned on the
clearly don't have
TV.
access to the internet or TV.
Don't
or
have
anything.
access to electricity, let alone anything else. So
living in the caveman era,
Yes. So we were all shocked and saddened to hear of the queen of television, as far as I'm concerned, Miss Betty White, passing away December 31st, 2021. She was 99 years old. She was born on January 17th, 1922, and was approximately 16 or so days away from her 100th birthday, where they were actually going to celebrate. Hopefully, they will turn it into a memorial kind of situation.
they're gonna do.
I'm
something.
sure it's in the works. They have to
it,
do something. Again, this lady this queen of television had a spanned 7 decades worth of television prowess. She got 5 Emmy Awards. She got 2 SAG Awards, which is Screen Actors Guild Awards. She even had a Grammy for a song. She's had, so listen to this record. You'll love this because I put this together and it actually tells. So she had 57 nominations for awards and 27 wins.
Wow.
Check out that record. I mean, that's a great.
Wow.
Such a bad record.
I mean,
considering all the people,
that's
a
hell of a win percentage right there.
Yeah, that's a huge win percentage. A huge win percentage right there. She, of course, married the love of her life, who she met actually on a game show. This guy named Alan Ludden, who was part of a game show. She was married before that, but for a short period of time. Doesn't mention that. She mentioned that guy too much because she said that Alan was the love of her life. So I won't even mention him. So we won't go there. She has at least 2 Life Achievement Awards, which totally makes sense. And she was on lots of different TV shows. A couple of the ones that are more popular, Mary Tyler Moore Show, and of course the Golden Girls. My mother-in-law loved the Golden Girls, and actually my wife and I watch the Golden Girls every time we can see them. I think it's either on Hallmark or a couple other channels. But this is, this is a lady that has been around for a very long time. What I want you to do, what I want everybody to do, is I want you to look up. I don't have it with me right this very second. I want you to look up. She was a huge contributor to animal rights. There are several kinds of animal rights funds that you can give to. They have them here. I just don't have them with me right now. What we could do is let's look it up and we'll put it into the
we'll put a link in the
for people to donate. We'll put it into the description for you guys. So when you see the episode, you'll be able to see that. But again, the Sports Blitz sends our condolences to Betty White's family. We were and my daughter walks in. And she's upset about it too because she's watched programs with her and stuff. And she walks in, and the first thing she says is, "Oh, she was so close." She was so close. I know. She was just about there.
It can be so fickle sometimes.
I can relate to this. Well, it turns out that they have her cause of death. Her cause of death is natural causes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. And it's interesting because I can relate to that because my grandmother lived to be 103. She was 5 months away from her 104th birthday. And she woke up one morning. She asked for coffee. The lady who was taking care of her, she went to go get coffee. She came back and my grandmother was gone. So, and it was just her time. Absolute natural causes. 103 years old. We had a huge party for her at year 100. She dressed up and that kind of thing. So I can kind of relate to this kind of situation. But my daughter's comment as she walked into our living room when she found out was just huge. She was just so close to that 100.
Yeah.
Just so close. But
Yeah.
again, we want to send our condolences out to her. And guess what? We get to watch her legend.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
just wonderful.
And how about one other show that that I sort of remember,
yes.
Hot in Cleveland.
Hot in Cleveland, yes, we watched that too.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, there are great outtakes. You got to YouTube.
Oh,
look at the
I've
outtakes.
been living these last few days. I've been living and mourning off of watching Hot in Cleveland bloopers. The Betty White bloopers from Hot in Cleveland.
Hilarious.
It is.
It will put you on the ground laughing.
To behold. Yeah,
it is great.
Absolutely.
Because she's with a quite a little bit of a younger cast, obviously.
Yeah.
And they first didn't think it was going to work out, but once she got to the set and started going.
It's Betty White.
The directors were on the ground.
How can you? I mean,
the producers were on the ground.
She could take anything. She could take anything and just make it just the most hilarious thing ever.
Absolutely.
By the way, I don't mean to like intrude on your final thought here, but I just popped into my mind. I don't know if you heard about this, but when I forget what year it was, but when she was chosen to host Saturday Night Live. It actually was because of a Facebook petition that had been like put out to basically get her to host Saturday Night Live. And her monologue, she addressed, the Facebook petition. It's the funniest thing ever. You got to YouTube it.
I need to YouTube that because I never saw. I didn't see her on that.
She said, "Yeah, I'll let you YouTube it and tell me what you think." But it is the funniest thing watching her. First of all, host Saturday Night Live, just her. Her brand of comedy, but second of all, just watching her address the fact that it was through a Facebook petition that she got asked to do it was really gave me quite the chuckle. So definitely.
Absolutely. And by the way, the oldest actress to host Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
That may not ever happen again. She might hold that for a very long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely, we send out our condolences, but there's so many good things out there. I want to tell you one last thing about Betty White.
Yeah.
If you have Netflix, I don't know anybody that doesn't have a Netflix except the guys under the rock or in the cave. They may get that satellite there, so they may have that, but they may have a phone. Netflix. There is a documentary, a Betty White documentary. You have to, if you like Betty White or have seen her in anything or just want to see anything about her, have to see this documentary. It is absolutely fantastic. It is fabulous. And it's funny and it just shows her life and what she has done, but it also shows what she was doing all the way up to, since they did the documentary. I think the documentary is I think a year or two old, I think. So up to at least a year ago, what she was doing just recently. And it's just fantastic. You got to watch it. And that's it. That's really all I got. The other thing I wanted to say is Robbie, is I'm looking forward to more Sports Blitz. I know we said this before the new year, but now we're in 2022. I am looking forward to bigger and better shows of the Sports Blitz. And we have other shows out there. We have On the Couch Talking Sports with Kyle and Robbie.
New episode coming out soon. We just recorded a new one last night, so it should be out soon.
Awesome. We have Marvel at the Movies with Kyle and me. There should be a new episode. I think Kyle and I are going to be recording sometime early next week or so. So
you should definitely watch the last episodes that may or may not involve me. Just saying.
They do, and it's very funny.
Yeah.
There is it's very funny. It's awesome, and there's a little bit of an incident with Robbie, so you got to see it. So
why is there ever not? I mean, why is there ever not?
There's always an incident with you. But again, thank you so much for tuning in.
Can I just say one more thing? Because I'm just gonna say one more thing.
And hit the bell.
No, I just want to say one more thing because I don't want to let it go past. Congrats to the Patriots on making the playoffs. Okay, I'm done.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that last comment. That was definitely a final thought. Right there.
I completely just neglected to say it in my final thoughts, but I wanted to throw that in there when it's still actually relevant.
No worries at all. No worries at all. That's all good. So we are on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter.
Yes.
We're on. What else are we on? Facebook.
Those are the main ones. Those are the main ones.
Those are the main ones that we're on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So and hit the bell and subscribe. We want to hear from you. Drop
a
thumbs
comment.
up or a
Drop
thumbs
that
down.
comment, folks.
Drop a comment so we know what we could do. If you want to hear about anything, if you want us to do an episode about something, you want to be on our episode, drop a comment. You know something about sports? Hey, we'll talk to you. Never know.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, definitely shout us out, man. Shout us out.
Yeah, absolutely. So who am I? Am I Robbie or Doug? Oh, I'm Doug. That's Robbie over there. He might be up and down. I don't know what's going on. That's Robbie over there. And we had a great time tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you next time on the Sports Blitz.
Bye, everybody.